My father demanded a DNA test for my grandfather's inheritance. When Grandpa's lawyer called to say he'd left me his entire art studio and all his paintings, my family thought it was a joke. Grandpa Frank was just a retired mailman who painted landscapes as a hobby. Then, the art appraiser arrived. Turns out Grandpa had been quietly creating masterpieces for 40 years. His collection was worth $1.8 million, and a major gallery wanted to buy everything. My father, Derek, immediately called a family meeting. "This makes absolutely no sense," he announced to the room. "Dad was a mailman. Since when do mailmen become millionaire artists? Something fishy is going on here." My stepmother, Carol, nodded along. "Derek's right. Your grandfather probably got scammed by some fake art dealer. These paintings can't actually be worth that much money." My Uncle Pete drove over from across town. "Maybe the appraiser made a mistake, or maybe someone's running some kind of inheritance fraud scheme." That's when Dad dropped his bombshell. "I think we need to prove Tommy is actually related to this family before he inherits anything." Everyone stared at him like he'd lost his mind. "What?" I said. "You want a DNA test to prove I'm your son, to inherit art from your father? Think about it," Dad continued. "Dad never showed any interest in Tommy until the last few years. What if Tommy somehow convinced him to change his will? What if this whole art thing is fake?" Carol jumped in with her conspiracy theory. "What if Tommy isn't really family, and he's been running a long con on an old man with dementia?" I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "Dad, I'm literally your biological son. A DNA test isn't going to change the fact that Grandpa left me his paintings. It'll prove you don't have any legitimate claim to family inheritance," Uncle Pete added. "If you're not really a Morrison, you can't inherit Morrison family assets." Here's what they didn't understand. Grandpa and I had spent 3 years painting together every Saturday, not because I was artistic, but because he was teaching me about color theory and technique while I helped him organize his studio. They also didn't know that Grandpa had documented everything we worked on together. The DNA test results came back exactly as expected. I was 100% Derek's biological son and Frank's legitimate grandson, but the lawyer had more to share. "Mr. Morrison left detailed journals about his decision," she announced, opening a thick folder. "He specifically wanted his family to understand why he chose Tommy." She began reading. "My son Derek visited me 6 times in 3 years. Each visit lasted less than an hour. He spent most of that time asking when I was going to clean out all this art mess and move to a retirement home." Dad's face started turning red. "My grandson Tommy spent 150 Saturdays learning to paint with me. He never complained about the mess, never suggested I sell my equipment, never treated my passion like an inconvenience." The lawyer continued. "Derek told me repeatedly that painting was a waste of time for someone my age. Tommy helped me frame 47 paintings and reorganize my entire studio." Carol looked embarrassed. "We were just worried about his safety with all those art supplies and chemicals." I pulled out my phone and showed them the time-lapse videos Grandpa and I had made of our painting sessions. Dozens of Saturdays working side by side. "The art collection goes to someone who understands that creativity doesn't have an expiration date." The lawyer finished reading. Dad stared at the videos. "You manipulated a lonely old man into thinking you cared about his hobby." I stood up with my inheritance papers. "I spent 3 years learning something new because he wanted to teach me. That's not manipulation, Dad." As I walked toward the door, Uncle Pete called out, "Don't expect us to help you sell those paintings." I turned around one last time. "Actually, I'm donating them to the local art museum. Grandpa always wanted his work displayed where people could see it." The last thing I heard was Dad muttering about throwing away millions for sentimental nonsense.